pull up the front end. Stop.
I'd ask you to follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Before I start, I want to acknowledge and thank the following individuals for being with us today and helping to make this day the special kind of event that it is. First of all, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of the City of New York, Edward I. Koch. The Chairman of the Board of Directors of the Health and Hospitals Corporation, Paul J. Henry. The President of the Health and Hospitals Corporation, Dr. Joe Ivy Buford. There are also present here today members of the Pintchik family. There is Matthew Pintchik, Leslie, Scott Hardy, Michael P., and Penny Snyder. We also have representatives here from Police and Fire and from the Chief of the Department's office in the Police Department, Chief Tony Simonetti. Also from the from the Police Department, one of their police surgeons who I know that many of the members of EMS know, and that's Dr. Greg Freed. From the Fire Department, a man that I met recently and had the opportunity to work with quite closely on a mutual program between FD and EMS, Chief Homer Bishop. From District Council 37, the Executive Director, Mr. Stanley Hill. The President of Local 2507 of District Council 37, Richard McAllan. The wife of a police officer that we assisted in the recent past has very graciously consented to come and be here with us and to thank the individuals that helped her husband or tried to help her husband in the recent past. Miss Mrs. Christina Pintchik. We also have a couple of members of the HHC board, Ms. Ruth Bloom and Dan Davis. And I also see HHC Vice President for Legal Affairs, Jack Linville. Also, the Executive Director of Coney Island Hospital, Mr. Howard Cohn. Now, I will introduce some of the staff members later on as we go through the program, but you can see that Chief Diggs is here. Thank you. I am really pleased and I'm really honored to welcome everybody to the 6th Annual EMS Pintchik Awards ceremonies. New York City EMS is unparalleled. It is an unparalleled organization. No other pre-hospital care organization even approaches EMS's size or capabilities. EMS has changed significantly over the years. They've been able to successfully integrate the experience of those years and the technology and science that is of the latest vintage to have a very first-class organization that renders a very necessary service to the people of the city of New York. Regardless of those changes, EMS is the professional organization that it is, not because of the changes, but because of the people that are in the organization. I've been very privileged to meet the people in that organization. And I've also been very privileged to lead the people in that organization. It is certainly the best job that I've ever had in my life. I've seen firsthand the dedication, I've seen the courage, I've seen the frustration, but I've seen mostly the love. I repeat that having this job is a privilege. Anytime my spirits start to sag or flag, I leave my office and I just go and start talking to paramedics and to EMTs and to the mechanics and to the industrial aides and to the office workers and all the other people that make this the organization that it is. I spend time talking to these people because I believe that they are the strength of this organization. And I'll tell you right now, I draw from that strength. They never cease to amaze me, the dedication, the motivation, the skill. What never ceases to amaze me also is their commitment to their patients. That comes first to them. It is terribly important to tell people what kind of job that they're doing, and to tell people when they're doing a good job. When approval and congratulation are appropriate, I try to do it because I believe that it's terribly important. This ceremony is a way of publicly thanking the members of this organization for the job that they do. The people in this organization are quality people. We're here today because a grateful patient wanted to show his appreciation. That patient, Jack Pintchik, he's the founder of the Pintchik paint store chain, wanted to thank EMS in a very public way, and he wanted the public to understand the vital role that EMS plays in the life of this city. Mr. Pintchik hosted the first award ceremony 7 years ago. 37 members were recognized for extraordinary life-saving efforts. Since then, 281 EMTs and paramedics have been so recognized. Today, 96 more have been chosen by their peers to be recognized by EMS, or to receive some of EMS's highest awards: the Medal of Honor, the Medal for Life-Saving, the Medal for Excellence, the Medal of Accomplishment. You have every right to be very proud, because you are the best of the best. Today is also a day to reflect on the memory of Jack Pintchik, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but whose family continues to support the dedicated lifesavers of EMS. It is our turn to say thank you to the Pintchik family for carrying on a tradition of generosity and moral support that means so much to EMS. This ceremony is the manifestation of that support by the Pintchik family, and for that, I want to thank them. I'd like to introduce someone whose patience and guidance and support have kept me on track, and who is also responsible for getting the service back on track. The President of Health and Hospitals Corporation, Dr. Joe I.B. Buford.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Tom, and I'm delighted to be here. These kinds of ceremonies, as Tom said, are always a chance for us to feel good about you, which we do every day, but to show you how good we feel about you, and also to feel good about ourselves and the role that this organization plays in New York City healthcare. As all of you know, you just have to read a newspaper every day to see that the healthcare system in New York City is in crisis. You experience it every day with the incredible demands on the emergency medical service system, the pressures that you face when you take your patients into the hospital emergency rooms, the stress that the staff in those emergency rooms is under, the time you have to wait before you can sign your patient out to go back for another call, what's generally waiting. So this challenge is certainly unprecedented in the history of this city, and we're very proud that each of you are more than meeting that challenge with extraordinary heroism and commitment to your patients. At EMS, you are members of a part of HHC that will probably touch every citizen in the city of New York, and your performance is always on display. In the past year, we have overcome considerable difficulties at EMS, but today there is clearly a new spirit here, a spirit which Tom Doyle and his management team, in partnership with each of you, have been building since they joined EMS last August. I want to take a moment to recognize their efforts and to assure you of our continuing commitment to provide you with the operational support and the financial and policy support that you need, the men and women of EMS, to do your job for the people of this city. The Health and Hospitals Corporation is committed to keeping our emergency medical service the absolute best there is. It's an honor for me to be with you, and I want to congratulate each of you who are receiving an award today, and to your families who provide absolutely unprecedented support. And I know it's one reason a lot of you are here. So thank you, and keep up the good work.
We gathered to honor men and women who have risked their lives to save their fellow citizens. They have braved gunfire, flames, smoke, oncoming trains, and the freezing currents of New York rivers to rescue policemen, firemen, emotionally disturbed persons, and ordinary New Yorkers. Frequently, after getting them out of harm's way, out of the inferno or the river or the path or gunfire, you then had to provide the pre-hospital medical care needed to keep them alive, or in some cases, to bring them back to life. You are truly heroes, and I'm proud to be here today to share this day with you and to recognize your heroism. Such heroism is not the only activity we're here to honor today. We're also here to honor EMS personnel who have found ways of making the system work better, whether that be by devising a new way of accurately accounting for overtime works and seeing that you get paid quickly for your services, or designing new equipment or promoting more efficient interaction with the police with whom you share so many rescue scenes. Your spirit of doing more than the job requires of finding ways to make the whole system more effective or going the extra mile to save a person's life is the heart's blood of EMS. It is its true greatness. On behalf of the Board of Directors of the Health and Hospitals Corporation, I salute you and all your activities which have enriched the lives of so many New Yorkers. Now, I call upon the Medal of Honor winners who are with us this morning to join us on the stage. These are the recipients of the highest award EMS may bestow. And I ask the audience to hold your applause until after I've read all the names. Paramedic Ron Barranco, EMT Balfour Bismarck, Deputy Chief Colden Grant, Paramedic Joseph Lugo, EMT Georgette Romangano, Paramedic Salvatore Fazino, EMT Thomas Finn, EMT Alex Caesar, EMT Rudolph Besson, Paramedic Marcel Bosch, Paramedic Donald Boyce, Paramedic Thomas Brennan, EMT Barrington Brown, EMT Andrew Cruz, EMT Bruce Gonzalez, Paramedic Michael Cordet, Paramedic Motor Padalon, EMT Richard Ramez, and EMT Wilfred Silvestri. Now it's time for applause.
You're done?
I'm going to ask Christine if you could...
Yeah, you're going to do so?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Okay. There are a couple of people who have not been called up here. Paramedic Evelyn Lee. David Russell. Paramedic Gonzalez, EMT Stanley Hill. No? Make that EMT Stan King, okay? Now, one other name that has not been mentioned is, okay. I want to read these names off. Steve Link, Martin Peck, Stephen Post, Georgette Romagnano, David Russell, and Kathleen Schoenhans. Okay. Come up here, young man. I promise next year I'll do it right. It's all my fault.
Come over here. You don't escape that easily.
EMT Tyrone Rogers. Now, Now, before we go any further, do I have it right now? Thank you. At this time, I'd like to introduce a young lady that I mentioned before, Mrs. Christina Pintchik. Christina, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. I'd like to say thank you for inviting and including me in the ceremony today. It's very important to me to be here, especially that my husband, Michael, spoke very highly of EMS workers. He would always come home and say how they were right there by his side during shootings, murder scenes, whatever circumstances it was, they were right there. Knowing that Sal and Evelyn were there with Michael that night he was shot means a lot to me because it assures me that he had the best care possible, and I know that he'd be happy with that. I realize that you all do wonderful jobs. You're in dangerous situations that a lot of people don't know about. I know that there was gunfire going on at the time while Evelyn and Sal were there with Michael. I think the people must begin to recognize the work that you do, such as for our police officers and firefighters. We really need a lot of respect for these people. And I thank you all for being so wonderful and caring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christina. At this time, I would like to ask the Honorable Edward I. Koch to please come forward and say a few words. Mr. Mayor.
First, I want to say to Tom Doyle, I hope to be here to reappoint you next year. I think Tom has done an extraordinary job in a very short time and under very difficult circumstances when everybody was looking over his shoulder and everybody, whether they were in political office or in the press, seeking to make the job more difficult by conveying that somehow or other it wasn't getting done. He got it done. I'm very grateful, very grateful. I also want to say to Christina, who has made an extraordinary, gracious and an unusual gesture by coming here to thank EMS paramedics Evelyn Lee and Sal Fazzino, how important her presence is. She demonstrated herself gallantry and courage to face the terrible memories of last October when her husband was shot down by drug-dealing thugs. And it was Sal and Evelyn who tried in vain to save him. Michael was no stranger to danger. In his few years on the force, he had already won an unprecedented 40 awards and citations for meritorious service and excellence. And Sal and Evelyn likewise were willing to face danger. They went to the scene of the shootout after hearing shots ring out as they were finishing another assignment nearby. And they did what they could for Mike. They assured him that he was not alone. And the EMS ambulance sped Mike to Columbia Presbyterian Hospital, which is where I rushed also to his bedside, but it was already, regrettably, too late. But Evelyn and Sal did their level best, and their level best is the best that anyone can do at any time. That's why she came, and that's why we're very appreciative to you. Since you are one of our city's most vital of services, I've been spending some time, as they say, on location with EMS, and it was last Friday that I took a tour of your headquarters in Maspeth. And I was extremely impressed by a number of things. First, the morale of the personnel and their obvious competence and dedication to service, the efficiency of the whole operation. And I want to thank you, each and every one of you. There's no question in my judgment that EMS has reached a turning point so that in an unprecedented way, the out-of-service rate for the ambulance fleet, currently 263 ambulances, that rate, downtime, has been drastically cut, well below what we had any expectation to see. The out-of-service rate for the week ending March 25 was 14%, the lowest rate yet, and well below the rate that we set as acceptable, which was 20%. And that marked the 6th consecutive week that the out-of-service rate was below or better than the goal that we had set. Very special, took a lot of hard work and dedication on the part of everybody involved, certainly the mechanics in bringing those vehicles back to speed. I'm very grateful. So, let me close by saying I know what the EMS does because I've been in their hands. And you do a damn good job. And as the mayor of the city, representing the 7.5 million people who know that you will be there when we need you, I thank you. Thank you.
The Life Saving Medal, which is the second highest award within EMS, is presented to members who, under adverse or unusual circumstances, were directly responsible for saving the life of another. Because the mission of EMS is to provide quality pre-hospital care, many times, life-saving measures are required. This medal represents the pinnacle of our mission. The EMTs and paramedics being honored today truly epitomize the meaning of EMS. It is their endless dedication to and compassion for the citizens of New York City that help make them truly New York City's best. These life-saving medal recipients are representative of many dedicated men and women of this service. As the Chief of Field Services, I have seen this service mature into the largest professional provider of pre-hospital care in this country. Having served as a paramedic some 10 years ago in Brooklyn, I know the satisfaction that one gets when they've made a difference, when they've saved a life. It is with great honor that I present to you the recipients of the Life-Saving Medal. I ask you to hold your applause till all the honorees are on the stage. Please come forward. Rudolph Besson. Marcel Bosch. Donald Boyce. Thomas Brennan. Catherine Bright. Barrington Brown. Andrew Cruz. Michael Carteret. Jack Finkelstein. Maria Francavella. Bruce Gonzalez. Maureen Marvintano. Motaha Padilla. Raymond Ramos. Richard Rems. Kevin Sinclairi. Wilfred Silvestri. Gary Smiley. And Mark Watton. Let's give them a big hand.
What I'm going to say is something that happened to my family 3 weeks ago, and I felt good about it, and yet I felt bad about it. I was coming home from Albany, dealing with the budget crisis, which Joe and I are trying to deal with very effectively in making sure that the hospital corporation and the hospital industry get their fair share from the governor. And I walked into the house, and my wife said that my brother had been mugged, and he was in Coney Island Hospital. And she was quite concerned because he was on a stretcher for 5 days. And of course, I ran out there to see him with a great deal of concern and anger that he was on a stretcher for 5 days. And my brother's older than me, and there's a great deal of love that I have for him because he taught me a lot when I was growing up. And finally, they got him upstairs to a bed. And I asked him what happened. He told me. And he mentioned that one of you brought him in and literally saved his life because he had 2 broken ribs, a bashed-in head, and he was out in the street. And he says, "Stan, don't get angry with the people in the corporation. Even though I was on a stretcher, I got great service." And he said, from the time I was there, they took care of me. I said, I'm angry because we live in a society where nobody should be on a stretcher for 5 days, and we have the resources to handle it. And I told him, I said, you know, it's important that you understand that I have a history in New York when I used to play ball. I was brought in by the ambulance services when I was knocked out on the football field, and God knows what had happened. My life was saved then too. I relate this story because we're working together with management to try to save the institution. And your president, who's a persistent and aggressive leader, Richard McAllan, went through a lot in the past 2 years to bring not only decent pay and services to his membership, but at the same time, we learned quite a bit. And as the executive director of this great council that I have the privilege of serving, you're a tremendous part of that council. 131,000 members that we represent, and I felt good when my brother told me that. He didn't even know that I represented you in terms of collective bargaining. So today, when I see and read the program and I see you come up to the stage and receive the award, I thought about that. And I just wanted to say to Richie and to you, once again, and to Joe Buford and Paul Henry, and to the rest, and Mayor Koch, we may differ, we may fight, but the bottom line is that we have a responsibility to give services to this city. I've been in the business 30 years now. I started as a caseworker. I understand the importance of giving adequate services. But once again, I'm very, very proud to be here this morning. And Mr. Doyle, I will sit down with you one day so we can talk. Thanks a lot.
At this time, I would like to introduce the president of Local 2507. He and I have not always agreed, but I'll tell you this, I am convinced that he has the best interest of his membership at heart, and that he is certainly one of the hardest working labor leaders that I have met. Richard McAllan.
Thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate the honor of being allowed to give out awards today. Mrs. Busick, thank you so much for coming. It's been extremely moving, especially when everyone in the room gave their heartfelt sympathies for you and, of course, your loss. Dr. Buford, Mr. Henry, other honored guests, again, I appreciate the honor. I'm here to award the Medal of Excellence today for so many EMS workers that we have here before us. I received the program last night, and I read through the various descriptions of how so many of the people in this room won their awards, and the first thing that crossed my mind is what I often tell the graduating classes in the academy, and that's, of course, the famous let's be careful out there, you know. But once I gave more thought to the heroism, to the courageous acts that each and every one of you have done, I think it demonstrates so graphically excellence in medical care and the commitment that the emergency professionals that I have the privilege of representing give to saving lives every single day. Certainly, there are individual calls listed in this book, but as we all know, there are many, many thousands more that go on every single day, every single week within the city of New York. And I think the commitment is to all those calls, not just perhaps the individual call that you're here for today or the individual efforts, but the efforts that you make on each and every call for each and every New Yorker, day in and day out. The most important thing I think I could say to you today is that some years ago, a proprietor, a woman that ran an all-night restaurant where I used to come a lot for pit stops, as we might say. She's working in a restaurant, and she cuts herself fairly badly one night, gives herself a pumper and so on, turns around, calls up 911, and says to 911, "Send Richie." You know, I need Richie, send Richie over. And the dispatchers realized who she was talking about and dispatched me back to the restaurant to pick her up. I bring this up because I think, quite simply put, there's no higher compliment when somebody could turn around and say, I would like a particular person in the 911 system, a particular crew, a unit in the 911 system to be by my side. I think I could give the people here no greater compliment than speaking as an individual that has close to 15 years as a paramedic within the system, that I would like you to come for me if I should need it. Congratulations to all the winners. I will read them off. Please hold your applause until I've completed the list. I haven't. Okay. This is for the Medal of Excellence. Ernest Abranco, William Azar, Carlos Aria, Peter Banker, John Barry, Marlena Basowitz, Wayne Baskin, James Bayreuther, Frederick Becker, Donald Boyce, David Cashman, Nash Chen, Kevin Dowling, Anthony Esposito, Kim Gabrielson, Richard Garcia, Thomas Georgi, Bruce Gutnick, Joan Hillgardner, Nicholas Kalinich, William Killips, Clarence Lee, Henry Levine, David Lincoln, James McDale, John McFarland, Peter Mirando, Eduardo Moreno, John O'Loughlin, Brendan Pearson, Jeffrey Perkel, Frank Rafter, Raymond Ramos, Anibal Rivera, Guillermo Sanchez, Russell Suchuk, Louis Shing, Alan Simmons, Christopher Stewart, Mark Stone, Joseph Tonelli, Mark Watton, Michael Watson, Thomas Young, and Chevalier Wilson De Briano. I get them all? Thank you. Let's give them a big hand.
I'm particularly pleased to recognize those employees who've made a significant contribution to the administrative and support areas of this service. EMS's mission is a clear one, and that is patient care. And as you can see from today's recipients of the Medal of Honor, Life-Saving Medals, and Medal of Excellence, it's a mission which our skilled EMTs and paramedics carry out with a sense of pride, commitment, and compassion. But just as these patient care awards are a reflection of the quality of services provided by hundreds of EMTs and paramedics each and every day in the field, so there are also many, many dedicated and gifted staff who help support these efforts, and in their own way are just as committed to the mission of patient care and just as critical. The hundreds of employees working at headquarters, the staff at the academy, and those in the borough commands are an absolutely critical part of EMS. But I'd like to point out that many of those receiving the Medal of Accomplishment, which recognizes the importance of contributions to administrative and support areas, are in fact field personnel who saw the big picture and who saw fit to devote their time and energy not only to providing the best patient care possible, but to the development of system-wide innovative enhancements as well. It's in recognition of the fact that all of us at EMS, uniformed and non-uniformed, management and labor, from chief to supervisor to specialist, all of us make it possible for EMS to provide the highest quality pre-hospital patient care to the citizens of New York City. It's in recognition of that spirit that makes me so proud to be a member of this service. Again, on behalf of all of EMS, I'm proud to honor today's recipients of the Medal of Accomplishment. I look forward to working with them and their colleagues toward a future for EMS that is filled with the ideals that today's ceremony represents. I'd like to now call the names, and if you could hold your applause. Tom Dowling, Thomas Georgi, Judah Marcus, James P. Martin, Walter Nelson, and Arthur Nicholas.
honor to introduce Roger Moore as the winner of the Executive Director's Medal. And Roger, I'm going to save everybody some time and stop there. Roger, come on down. Join me.
I joined EMS back in September, and I was told that the mission of EMS was a simple one, to provide quality pre-hospital care to the citizens of New York. And that my job was to help the field services reach that goal. Well, I quickly learned that EMS was a team, like fingers on a hand, working together. Administration, support, field services, communications, the academy. Individually, they are limited in what they can do. But when they come together, they can have the force to provide the best care in this country. Now, it's no mystery, no secret that some parts of our family were ill. Last summer, the downtime in our motor transport division was almost 50%. Often we ran out of critical medical supplies, shortages of oxygen. This was serious. I've witnessed in the last 6 months one of the most dramatic turnarounds I've ever seen in public service. As the mayor said, the downtime last week was only 14%, a record. Incredible record for an emergency service. We have not had a shortage of critical medical supplies in the last 4 or 5 months. An incredible feat. You don't no longer have to worry about those sorts of equipment and supplies you need to do your job. So you can focus on saving lives and helping the citizens of New York. So we're here today to thank and to recognize those two units, those two parts of our family, the Motor Transport Division and the Quartermaster Service Unit. What I'd like to do is call down a member of each of those parts of the service to receive this certificate on behalf of the men and women who they work with. I'd like to ask Jim Gerasi to come down to represent Quartermaster Service, and Alan Proder, please come down to represent the Motor Transport Division.
Only 14%? Okay, guys, thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Matthew Pintchik, who will give out the Jack Pintchik Award. Matt?
Thank you, Mr. Doyle, men and women of the EMS, family and friends. I do have something prepared, which I'll try and give it my best. I'm not an avid speaker, but here we go. The Pintchik Humanitarian Award is given out once a year in conjunction with the EMS Honor Award ceremony. It was established by the Pintchik family to recognize a uniformed member of the service who exhibited outstanding dedication to improving the quality of work for life for EMS personnel. I'll ad-lib for a second. It's been given to different people for different types of service, anything from improving the life for people at the stations, whether it was someone who just tried to fix up or even helped fellow employees cope with their day-to-day experiences. This year's honoree is no stranger to the Pintchik family. However, the reason he is being honored today is very different from his participation in the events of several years ago. Until 2 months ago, it had been almost 3 years since an EMS had conducted testing and certifying for new lieutenants. The service has undergone many changes, implemented new procedures and policies. grown in number of personnel and complexity. A need existed for a comprehensive training program to prepare EMS's new supervisors with the tools required for their new assignments. Several years ago, EMS developed its first training program for new supervisors. Mr. Carl Tramontana was instrumental in developing that program, and early this year, EMS recognized the need to provide training and orientation to the newly certified supervisor candidates. The task of preparing the new supervisors for their assignments fell to Carl Tramontana, and calling on his experience as an instructor, as well as his practical experience as a field supervisor, Carl devoted numerous hours and tremendous energy to make the program a success, despite other responsibilities. Carl has been nominated by the Honor Awards Committee to receive the Pintchik Humanitarian Award for his dedication to making the quality of work life for new EMS supervisors, perhaps the toughest job in the service, a little easier. Carl has earned praise from graduates of the program, attesting to his personal selflessness in giving 250% to make the transition from EMT or paramedic to lieutenant a little bit less painful. In recognition of his extra efforts to professionalize the rank of lieutenant, his spirit and enthusiasm in carrying out his responsibilities and his commitment to EMS, we are proud to honor Carl once again this year's Pintchik Humanitarian Award. Carl? I'm sure this is a prize.
Thank you. Sure. First, this is a real surprise. I had no idea. But I was asked to put together a few words because every year myself and Ken Honig come to this ceremony because of what we did 7 years ago, actually. And someday I'll tell everybody what really happened at that scene. But it was a real joy for us to be able to do this. And actually, Kenny knew who the family was. I had no idea. But what I prepared was this. I was going to thank the Pintchik family, honored guests, my fellow EMTs and paramedics. I stand before you this afternoon with a great sense of pride. It's the pride I'm sure all of you share, having been recognized for performing above and beyond your normal call of duty. I'm also sure that we all share a common sense of pride, knowing that our co-workers perform above and beyond that normal call of duty each day he or she comes to work. I've been with EMS going on 12 years now, and this is the third administration I've seen take on the responsibility of steering us into the future. This administration comes to EMS with the goal of providing each of us and the citizens of New York City with the best that they have to offer. Mr. Mayor, I ask you, as well as the Health and Hospital Corporation, to provide them with the resources that they need towards that goal, and the rank and file will provide the professionalism, pride, patient care, desire, and heart to make EMS New York City's third and best uniformed service. Thank you.
I think you've already heard from some very dedicated and some brilliant people who want to thank you for all you are and all you do. It's just a couple of thoughts I want to share with you. I brought a visual aid. This is my visual aid. I've been living with this thing for the last 5.5 months because it's very important to me. I went to school to learn what you learn. I went to school to learn what it is that makes you so dedicated and work as hard as you do. When I say to you, I know what you're doing out there, and I appreciate what you're doing, believe me, it's the truth. This is only the first part of a thank you. I want to thank several individuals and several groups today. I want to thank Public Affairs, first of all, for putting together an extraordinary effort in making this day possible. It's really beautiful and special to all of us. I'd like to thank the Color Guard, who goes almost unnoticed at all the affairs they attend and adds dignity and beauty to all they attend. Also, I'd like to give a special thanks to Mrs. Busick for being here today and to the Pintchik family for making this an annual event. I'd like to thank the Mayor and Dr. Buford and Mr. Henry for choosing somebody as tough and as dedicated as Tom Doyle to lead this service forward. I'd like to thank Tom Doyle for giving me a chance to have the best job I've ever had in my life, to work with the best people I've ever met in my life. Most of all, I'd like to thank you. When people ask me what I think EMS is about, what the job is about, what the people are about, two things come to my mind. An evening I was riding around in the ops car with Lieutenant Martin, who's here today, and we responded to a call for an elderly woman who was struck by a car. The people who found her dragged her into a candy store. She was hysterical, bleeding very badly from a laceration over her left eye. I got on the scene with the first BLS crew. In my own clumsy way, I tried to help, handing them 4x4s and just generally trying to stay out of the way. The ALS crew got on the scene, and they started to work feverishly. The one thing I noticed about all the people who were on that scene is they treated that woman with compassion, with caring, and with understanding. I couldn't have felt any safer or any more confident than if it were my own mother. Since I've been in the service, last September, I've decided that in order to do the job well, I had to make a commitment. The people of the service have already made a commitment to me. Since last September, they've saved my father's life and my father-in-law's life. I not only owe the job, but I owe each and every one of you, individually and collectively. For that, I say thank you. But most of all, I thank you for saying yes to the challenge that EMS provides for you every day, for saving lives, for being compassionate, and for being caring. Yours is a dangerous job that for too long went unnoticed, that was a thankless job. I promise you, it is no more. I hope that today is a reaffirmation in your minds of not only the gratitude that we have for you, but the respect and admiration that we have for you. I heard a new lieutenant tell a story a few weeks ago, and I promise not to use it today, but when you're a ham, you're a ham. There's a difference between involvement and commitment. You are not involved. You're committed. Simple example is a plate of ham and eggs. The chicken, see, he was involved, but the pig was committed. I believe in my heart that this is the finest emergency medical service in the world. I believe we're moving forward toward gaining the recognition and the respect that we've deserved for so long. Don't anybody think that it's because of people in an office, administrators or people who push paper, that make this service work. They're only a small part. It's you, the men and women of this service, that are literally the life's blood of the city. I'd like to leave you with one thought and make good my promise about being brief. That man is special who dares to dream and pursues his dream, using his head for himself and his heart for others. A man is special who reveres God and loves humanity, striving to leave the world a better place than he found it. That man is special who gives all he has, loves, and then gives some more. You are the finest group of people I've ever had the privilege of working with. You are giving. I look forward to many, many years of hard work, dedication, and loyalty together. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Heavenly Father, grand architect of the universe, go forth with us this day and grant us the ability to assure those you protect that they do not suffer alone. Help us, Father, to be the light in time of darkness, hope in time of despair, and an instrument of your peace. Grant us compassion and care in the service of your people, and protect us as we labor under stressful and dangerous conditions. Grant by thy grace that we might make the difference and keep yet one more of your children from God's waiting room. If it not be your will, give us the peace and tranquility of your love when we can do no more. And when my time of need comes, I pray that my brothers and sisters will be with me on my last call.